Welcome, everybody. This is the Career Fair Prep Seminar for the Fall 2025 Career Fair. Get very excited. I'm sure you all are here because you're a little nervous about the Career Fair, want to do it well. So we're going to make sure that you take away some great information today. We have Madison joining today from Friends of the Family, which is a local employer and a pretty big employer, especially for social services folks on the line here as well. Bailey, I'm sorry, your information didn't come up. There it is. But this is the team today. So my name is Natalie Knowlton. I'm a CSBS career coordinator. I primarily meet with students who are going into social sciences work as well as nursing now and public health and all those types of folks. And Madison, I'll let you introduce yourself if you're all right with that.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I'm Madison. I am the volunteer manager at Friends of the Family. And so I help with a lot of the recruitment when it comes to volunteers and internships. We do a ton of internships within kind of those social services and yeah, engaging students as well as when we go to career fairs and things, being able to kind of talk about employment as well. And I'm happy to be here. This is the second one I've done. So thanks for
Woohoo!
inviting me back.
Bailey Akis is also here. She is another CSBS coordinator who is joining me this semester to help with CSBS students. We're very excited to have her as well. But in general, a career fair at the University of Northern Iowa looks like this on your screen, where we usually have it at the McLeod Center. And we have one every semester, usually in September and in February. These are the hot recruiting seasons for everyone. And so that's why you will see them in September and February instead of like December when people graduate in December and in May, if you graduate in May, you want to have a job by then. And so February and September are the hot seasons for that. This semester, it'll be September 18th, which is a Thursday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Again, in the McLeod Center. And everyone, all of the booths will be positioned on the concourse like this, as you see. This is also where we play basketball and volleyball. And so if you went to the volleyball match last night, it'll be in the exact same spot where you will enter and you will see, you'll get a map and you will see the all of the sections lined up and all of the booths that are on either side of the aisle. All majors are welcome. I will say if you are a teaching major, there is a teaching fair in March that would much better fit you. That doesn't mean you won't find an opportunity here. But if you're looking for those full-time teaching roles, I would refer you to the teaching fair, which is in March. So let's get started. Again, this is our graphic. If you've seen that on campus, we have three different sections this semester. We have the business and finance section, which will probably be the largest. We also have the community and healthcare section and the law enforcement and government section. So if you are interested in any of those fields or fields that fall in between those, they will probably be, you will go to the career fair and you will see where everyone is lined up on the concourse, which section they're in, so that you can surf around and talk to the recruiters and the employers that you want to. Okay. Um, a career fair is especially important to practice your skills talking to employers, which is much different than talking to your friends or your bosses or anybody else. And so it's very important that you go at least once before you graduate, before the semester, before you graduate, when it's high stakes for you and you need a full-time role to practice your networking skills and to practice talking to employers or potential employers. And you can also learn who they are. It's really important for your job searching experience to know who would hire you after UNI, after college. And if you can't name, 4, 5, 6 employers that might hire you after I would highly recommend you go to a career fair. You talk to your career office about who would hire you and make sure that you know that list in your head because that will help you so much more than just going to Indeed or Handshake to the abyss of job applications and trying to find your way from that grassroots effort. I highly recommend that you know who would hire you because it can also open doors to interviews, volunteer opportunities, internships full-time work, part-time work. You'll find all of that at the UNI career fairs. And so it's a great place to gain some skills and some knowledge as well. When you are preparing for the career fair, your physical stuff, make sure that you have multiple copies of your resume with you. And if you've never had your resume reviewed before, I highly recommend that you come to our office or you send it to our email at minimum, so that we can review it for you and make sure it's in tip-top shape for those employers. Because you want to bring at least 10, I would say, resumes to the career fair. And so that you can pass them out if in case you're interested in anything that an employer has open. And you also want to, first and foremost, bring an open mind. I like to always talk about this because there are so many employers at every fair. I think we have about 160 employers at this fair. And so there's about 160 employers that you could talk to at the event and figure out opportunities that either weren't posted on Handshake or you didn't know were posted on Handshake. You didn't know where opportunities you might find different things that open different doors for you. So I highly recommend you come with an open mind. Have a select few that you want to talk to at first. That can be very helpful, especially when you walk into the room and it's kind of loud and it's kind of overwhelming. Have a few that you want to talk to up front and then surf around and see other opportunities as well. Go to different sections that you didn't think would be have opportunities for you. That doesn't necessarily mean if they're in the business section that they wouldn't have opportunities for a social services major. So make sure that you come with an open mind and you surf around. If you have a Padfolio, I highly recommend you bring one of those as well. A folder is fine, but a Padfolio is really helpful. I'm going to grab mine to show you. This is what it looks like here. I have a UNI one, but it is just a pleather bound folder that is zipped up, that has a legal pad in the middle of it. So you can write questions down if you have any. You can write emails down or anything like that. You can also use this to pack away any like flyers that you get and business cards and stuff like that. And it gives you a place to put your hands, which is really nice when you're walking around a career fair and you might be a little nervous talking to folks. Having a place to put your hands can be really helpful. You can get these at Walmart or Target pretty cheaply. I think probably Amazon. You can get one by now, but they're great and they're pretty cheap. I would bring a pen or a pencil so that you can write down your name on sign-in sheets on different booths. Bring your phone so that you can check into the career fair. If you are required to be at the career fair for a class, odds are I'm going to send your class or your professor the list of students who came to the fair based off of the check-ins that we have. But you need your phone to check in, so make sure you bring that. Bring a plan of action. So do your research on Handshake, see who is coming, pick out a few employers, see what they're hiring for, what they do, why you might be interested in them, and then go to those folks first. It's nice to have a plan to just of who you're going to go to first so that you know what you're doing when you walk in the room. And again, you're loud and you're nervous. It's loud and you're nervous. Having like knowing that you're going to go to friends of the family first can be really helpful. You can also, if you want to, bring a bag because there will be plenty of freebies, like chip clips and frisbees and all kinds of stuff that you could grab if you want to. So you could also bring a bag, an empty one, if you want to as well. Okay, this is how you would look up the folks who are coming to the career fair. Everyone has a Handshake account if you are a UNI admitted student. So you would just log in with your CAT ID and password, and then it's going to look a little bit, you know what, I'll share my screen with you here. It's going to look like this. Maddie, can you see Handshake? Is it? Yes, okay, cool. It's going to look like this on the student side when you're on a computer. The app looks a little different. I do like the app better, but this is the computer side. You're going to go to events on the left menu here, and then career fairs at your school. You can also get to this part through the Career Center if you want to as well. If you click on this on the fair, then you can click on Employers tab and see all of the folks that are coming to the fair who are registered right now. We might still be adding a few in the next week, so always come back and see who is coming. But you can also filter by industry, which is my favorite to filter by. And then you can see all of the folks who are coming for accounting and stuff like that, if that's what you're interested in. You could also filter by nonprofits, government, anything like that. Once you click on someone, let's look up friends of the family since we have them here. Oops, I'm gonna take off my filter.
Oh, good. I was gonna say, oh no, we did register.
No, I think you're
Just
coming.
not accounting.
Okay, public health internship. That's perfect. So you can see what their jobs are. You can click on the job. You can see the little synopsis about it, what they're looking for potentially, where it is. And then you can go to Madison's booth and you can say, I saw your public health internship. I'm very interested in it. I'm a public health major. I would love to know more about it. And then Madison is super impressed already by your preparedness and that you looked on Handshake and you know what they're hiring for. Okay, beautiful. Let's go back to our presentation here.
If I can
Uh,
butt into,
yes.
I know this is, we'll talk about it a little bit later on too. I think just kind of with the thing with the like employers too, the preparation is always really great too, but it also helps the employers kind of know within, um, we have tons of our elevator pitches ready, whether it's like very broad, someone interested in everything. And so if you kind of come prepared and you help share what you're interested in, that kind of then helps for the employers then to be able to kind of share about the stuff that you're interested in. You'll learn a little bit more in depth than just what's kind of probably in the posting. So if you do have specific things you are looking for, it is always really helpful to be able to bring that to the employers. We're obviously very excited to be there to talk about all of our opportunities, but it kind of helps too if students are like, okay, I just want to know more about this opportunities. And again, it just helps with time too, so that you have plenty of time to be able to pop to other employers so you don't hear the full spiel if you're like, I really am interested in just this one opportunity at your employment place.
Yes, awesome. Yes, and we will talk about that a little later too, because there's plenty of things that I'm sure students are nervous about, like what to say when they come up to you. And so we'll talk about that as well. Gold Star approach. I don't know, Madison, if you have this consistently, but I think it's great for students to message folks ahead of time of the fair and say, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you at your booth, interested in your public health internship, all that type of stuff. Do you get that often?
I have not ever gotten that before. And yeah, this will be my sixth UNI career fair or any career fairs.
Okay.
I've never had that. So it would really make you stand out to employers, especially
Perfect.
those that are really active on Handshake too,
Yes,
which I
yeah.
know there's a lot of employers that do utilize it.
Yes, for sure. And they should be posting jobs right up until the day of the fair. It might be the first fair that they go to. And so they could be posting like up until the day of this fair. So always check back on Handshake to see if anybody has posted anything new that you might be interested in. Yeah, and I would highly recommend doing that. So next, how to prepare for the fair, what to say. Above all else, you want to be polite because this is a networking event. And so a first impression is very important. A good first impression is very important. You want to be tactful and professional as best as possible. You want to smile and have positive nonverbals because nonverbal communication is most of our communication. And so if you can be as positive as possible, that's great. And unfortunately, you want to put yourself in a sales mindset. And I'm not sure what all majors we have representing here today, but I'm not sure. I'm sure everyone isn't a sales major. And so this can be a little intimidating for folks, but if you can put yourself in that sales mindset of like, I'm going to demonstrate my skills, I'm going to talk about that, that can be really helpful as well. And also practicing your elevator pitch, which we can talk about next. When you walk up to an employer, they are also a human being. So you can say, hi, how are you? And they'll say, I'm good. How are you? And you can say, I'm great. I'm Natalie. I'm a social work major. I saw your public health internship on Handshake. I'd love to talk to you about it. Something like that can be really helpful. Have you seen students kind of miss the mark when coming up to you and talking to you at career fairs?
Yeah, I think again, for the most part, it can be a little intimidating. So sometimes, our approach, friends and family, are kind of my approach too. If there's someone kind of lingering or kind of looking at some of our marketing things, I usually sometimes then reach out and introduce myself, kind of initiate that, which that works too. I'm more than happy to also kind of do that too. But again, it's um, always great too when students, come up and are
Yeah.
excited and kind of start out that conversation too.
Yeah.
I think. One thing that sometimes students fall to is um, I know we'll talk about kind of the don'ts but if you go to a booth and they kind of are giving their spiel and then you're kind of you disengage a little bit. So just trying to stay engaged the entire time. If there is something they kind of get to talking about, if they kind of there's a pause or break, you can always say, "Yep, thank you for telling me about your agency. I know that's kind of what you have." But just stay engaged. It's really easy. Also, again, it's loud. There's a lot of things going on. The tables are close. So like as an employer, if we're talking to you and you start to be, disengaged, it can be, come off as probably not the most professional.
Mhm.
So yeah, just try and stay engaged as much as you can.
Yeah.
I promise we're there, um, to recruit you just as much as you're out recruiting for yourself. So we do want to talk to you. I mean, I can't talk for all employers, but just remembering that we're also there. And we want to talk about what we do. So it can be an intimidating, but try not to focus on that piece.
Yeah. They're also people and it's their job
Yep.
too. And so
Yep.
they, they want to talk to you. What's
Yeah.
difficult is sometimes I do see students who just walk in the middle of the aisle all the way around and then they say, I didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
You do have to have a bit of an effort to go up to a person or a booth usually. Sometimes you will have recruiters who are extra extroverted and they might like pull you into a conversation or say, hey, do you want to talk to me about friends of the family or something like that? But
Mhm.
oftentimes it will take a little bit of work to like go up to their booth and look at their
Yep.
marketing materials or ask them a question. Even if you haven't seen them on Handshake and you don't know what they're hiring for, that's okay. You can be transparent about that and we can have a little
Mhm.
bit of a pitch for that too. So next, you could say, once you have a conversation with someone, an introduction, you could say, thank you for telling me about your agency. I'm currently researching agencies who hire social work majors or whatever major you are. I graduate in May 2026 and want to add agencies to my radar. So when the time comes, I know where I want to apply. Where do you typically post your job opportunities so I can keep an eye out? And this would be if you are at the fair, either a little early than you're graduating or you don't quite need an internship or an opportunity just yet, but you need to network and you want to go to get ahead of when you do need that opportunity. Or perhaps you're there because it's required for a class, but you still don't need, a job or an internship, something along those lines. A polite way to say like I'm not really looking for anything right now is this of like I'm collecting things for the future, essentially, because it's a small world out there, and so you want to make sure again you're tactful and professional. But there may be some opportunities that come your way from this event, even if you weren't looking at that exact moment. So keep that in mind. Next would be the elevator pitch if you are interested in something. An elevator pitch is usually a quick spiel about who you are, your skills and experiences, and what you're interested in. At least at a fair, that's kind of how an elevator pitch runs. You might have heard this term from interviews because usually in an interview, someone will ask you, tell me about yourself. And then it's your responsibility to have like this 2 minute, somewhat memorized spiel about yourself that also includes like your skills and experiences, your interest in the job, all those types of things. So you could have a quick one for the fair, and I would think about what you want employers to know about you at the fair. This one says, thank you for telling me about your agency. As I stated before, I'm a junior social work major. I'm currently looking for something position where I can grow my skills and be a part of the team that values something that you value. I currently work at EPI as a direct support professional and I have experience in this field. What positions are you recruiting for? Could be a good elevator pitch or a good opening for that employer as well. You want to just make sure that you include your name and your major and your year. You will get a name tag at the career fair that hopefully you will write down your name and your major on there. And clear enough for someone to read it off of your name tag. But you want to make sure that you state that still. Um, And you can always talk about what you're looking for or how you are qualified for what they're hiring for if you are familiar with their handshake postings. But this is very similar to a Tell Me About Yourself. It should be reflected upon before the fair, just like you would reflect upon this before you go into an interview. Okay. Once you have that conversation with that recruiter, it can be a little awkward to know how to wrap up that conversation, especially if you have a limited amount of time at the fair. It is only from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., but I will say some recruiters will start packing up around that 2 o'clock, 2:30 mark. And so if you have a very small amount of time because you have classes that you are going to the fair in between, I would expect you to have an exit plan out of that conversation. My usual exit plan is taking a business card and saying thank you, for telling me about your agency. Unfortunately, I have to keep moving because I have limited time, but I appreciate you telling me about this, and I will I will be sure to contact you. Something like that. So you could say, thank you for taking the time to explain to me what something something does, and what positions you have open. Can I get your business card? So if I have any questions, I can contact you. So something like that. You could also say, thank you for taking the time to explain to me what Friends of the Family does and what positions you have open. I'm very interested in the program director role. Can I get your business card so I have questions if I contact you? Here's my resume if you would like to contact me and email me. My email is at the top. So this is another way for you to give them your resume and start passing those out. I will say not every employer might take them because they might have like equal opportunity policies within their employer, and so they can only take resumes through online portals or something like that. But you should still have them, especially if they ask for it, especially so you can get your name out there. This is a good way to exit as well as taking a business card, giving them a resume, and then moving to the next booth or whatever your next plan is. Okay. Okay, what not to say. There are quite a few things not to say. First of all, again, you want to be professional and tactful. So saying things like, I'm not interested in Friends of the Family is a little rude. Or saying things like, I already have my internship, so I'm not looking for anything right now, can be a bit dismissive as well. You want to have an open mindset, and also be open to other folks, to the employers that are trying to talk to you and just do their job. So be professional and tactful. If you're not looking for anything, there's a professional way to spin that instead of saying, I'm not looking for anything right now. I have to be here for a class. And that's it. That shuts down the conversation. It also shuts down any opportunities that you might get from talking to that recruiter. Other questions that I would say are probably off the table are how much would I get paid? Because you would find that out eventually. If getting paid for an internship is necessary for you, you can discuss that at another time, but the career fair is not really the place to discuss that. I see some self-deprecating things sometimes, like I don't have experience in public health. Would I really be qualified for a public health internship? You want to have your best foot forward. And so if you start off the conversation with, I'm not really the person you're looking for, it's not putting your best foot forward. Are there other Madison questions or comments that you get that are a little rude or shut down the conversation or anything like that?
Um, those, I mean, cover it pretty well.
Mhm.
I think one thing, just being really mindful too, of if you're going in a group, I don't know if this is in later on, but if you're going in a group or going with friends and say you stop at a table, your friend's really interested, but you might not be, it might be a good opportunity to kind of branch off and go into an area you might be, because it can be very distracting. Having someone really engaged in kind of an interest in, then you might just be kind of standing there, not interested. And so, again, just kind of that perception, especially if you already have your internship. So we get that a lot. A friend will be with another friend and you'll engage a conversation and one of them will say, I already have my internship lined up, and then they're no longer interested. I also just like to share within service providers and kind of the community and healthcare. A lot of us like work in very similar fields or work together and stuff. And so, again, if one area maybe is not of what you're looking to pursue, you may, work alongside that agency in another way. And so, if you're kind of in a field, I think it's always just good to know what other agencies kind of do too. But just be mindful if you're kind of in a group or going with friends on staying engaged, again, kind of what I've already mentioned.
Yeah. And I do think I have a slide about that that we can just skip forward to. Oh, no, maybe we won't. But appropriate questions could be like, where are you located, or locations, because like Friends of the Family has multiple locations. And so on Handshake, they really can only have one listed, which is a limitation of Handshake. So you might want to ask, just in case you're looking for internships specifically in this area or specifically in Des Moines, they might have a location somewhere else that you're interested in, but they just can't share that on Handshake specifically because of the limitations of the platform. You could ask, does your company, agency, organization allow remote work? I will say that remote work is getting a little less and less. There's less opportunity for remote work as everyone is like going back to work after COVID and stuff, but you can still ask. Know that the answer might be no, and that's okay. And if you're only looking for remote opportunities, still being professional and tactful at that career fair is still very important, and not shutting down that conversation. Um, you could go to the career fair preparing for the future, like the future as well. Because I do see students who are studying abroad or something, but they also have like a social work internship that they need to plan for. But during the semester that they're planning for that, they're abroad, and so they need to do that a year in advance. So you could ask them, how would I get in contact with you if I'm interested in a summer 27 or a fall 27 internship? What would that look like? And you can have that conversation with them and talk about how far out they hire for their interns and stuff like that. You can also ask, when does your organization typically hire? It's probably the answer is going to be September and February or around those times because they are at a career fair. But again, if you're planning for the future or if you're planning for when you graduate, that would be a great thing to know. Okay. When you are thinking about what to wear to the fair, you want to make sure that you are dressed a little more elevated than your everyday. You don't have to wear a full business suit and a full professional suit. You totally can. You're open to that, and that might make you stand out a little bit, but you want to be just a little more elevated than your everyday. Unfortunately, I do see students in sweatpants at the career fair. I would not recommend wearing sweatpants to the career fair. If you struggle with affordability of like interview pieces and career fair wear pieces, we do have the JCPenney Suit Up coupon code live right now, which you can get 30% off of any career wear is what they call it. So that could be shoes, it could be slacks, it could be a button down or a blouse or a blazer. I think you can even get this for makeup and hairspray and stuff like that. So if that interests you, you can take a picture of this, or this information is also on our webpage. And you can use that code multiple times, but don't tell them that I said that. Don't because I have tested it and you can get a code multiple times. But you can do this. You can put in the code, the coupon code online or in person if you go to an in-person store. What I think is most appropriate is like dressing for the weather and also dressing for walking around. So if you're not comfortable walking around in heels, I don't recommend going to a career fair in heels. It's really not necessary. But you want to make sure that you're not going to be too hot and sweating. You're not going to be too cold. I don't think it's going to be cold, but you want to make sure you're not going to be cold either. So I would recommend at least khakis, probably dress pants, and some kind of collared shirt or a nice blouse with flats or dress shoes. Something along those lines, something pretty simple, comfortable that you can walk around in, and it's not going to make you super hot. More than sweatpants, less than a suit, probably. Okay. Make it fun. You can go with friends. Just know that you might intimidate or create awkward situations if there's a group of you hoarding around a specific booth and not all of you are interested in that booth. It's also pretty inefficient if you are staying at one booth with your friend when you're not interested in them. So I would recommend you spend your time wisely because it's not a very long fair. You probably don't have all day to be there as well. You want to make sure that you're spending your time wisely. But you can make it fun and make a game out of it. Like who gets the most chip clips is one of the competitions our student employees did, or the most business cards collected, or have some kind of like specific goal for the day. So your goal could be passing out 10 resumes or something like that too. You can make it fun and you can go with friends. Just try not to make those awkward situations. So after the fair, if there's something you're really interested in, I highly recommend that you email that recruiter and remind them who you are and remind them of your interest. So you could say something like, thank you for taking the time to talk to me at the UNI Career Fair today. I appreciated our conversation about API, the program director position, and our shared passion for Packers football, or something special from your conversation. I want to restate my interest in the open position. Please find my resume attached and make sure you attach that resume that you got reviewed from Career Services. Again, thank you for your time and I look forward to hearing from you. Something very simple, but also adds a bit of a personal detail so that they can remember, oh yeah, that's that person that I talked to about Packers football or something like that. Okay. It goes a long way, even after your interviews. If you send a thank you email after your interview, it goes a long way. So here's some common questions that I see. One, are you supposed to shake hands? And the answer is usually, sometimes. Not everyone will shake your hand, and that's okay. You can let the recruiter initiate a handshake or a fist bump or like a elbow tap or something like that. But not everyone is going to be shaking your hand at the fair. Should I dress for an interview is another question I'll get. You can, but business casual is fine. Interviews directly after the fair are not very common, and so you don't have to worry about that necessarily. What if I'm not looking for a job or an internship right now, but I have to go? That's okay. If you have to go, you can be honest and tactful by saying at this time your plans are not concrete, but you appreciate the recruiter's time and will always keep the company organization in mind. You want to be polite and tactful and professional above all else. How often do people get jobs after the fair? And this is a hard question to answer because there's no way for me to have great data on this, unfortunately, because people don't always tell us once they get jobs from the fair, or you might get a job that from like friends of the family if you talk to them this year, but then you apply 2 years from now and Madison remembers you because of your great, because you messaged her before the fair on Handshake or something like that. Um, I would count that as like getting an experience or a job from the career fair, like it started that journey for you, but I can't track that unfortunately. So it does happen, but I don't know how often, honestly, because I can't track it. What if there's no employers for me at the fair? If you feel like there are no employers at the fair, you're looking at the list right now. I would like to know that so that we can have a conversation. Maybe I know of someone who is coming to the fair who's hiring a particular thing, but you can't see it. You haven't talked to those employers before or something like that. I want to know that if you feel like no one's there for you. After the fair too, if you feel like you've walked around, you talked to everybody, and there was really no opportunities that you were interested in, I would like to know that too. And I would like to know who you would want invited to the fair. Because we can and we do invite employers to the fair and we email them and we call them and stuff and we say, hey, UNI students are talking about you. They would love to see you at the fair. And they're like, oh, they're talking about us. Oh, interesting. I would love to come. And and so they might not know that you're interested in them. So keep that in mind as well. What if I start talking to an employer and realize I'm not interested? Again, being polite, being tactful and professional. You can always say thank you for talking to me about your agency. I'll take a business card so that I can contact you if I have any questions. I fortunately do have to get going because I do have a limited amount of time at the fair in between my classes. And they understand because they're talking to students. They know they're talking to students. They also should know that they might be talking to students of all majors because this is an all majors fair. And so if you are an accounting major and you are still interested in the work that Friends of the Family does or something like that, always like take a look, always talk to folks if you are interested in them, even if you don't feel like your major fits. That might not be true, and you just have to talk to that recruiter and find out essentially. Okay. All right. If you want to make an appointment again for your resume or a mock interview or anything of those of that means, I highly recommend taking a picture of this slide because this is how you make an appointment on Handshake with us. We have a career advisor for every major in this office. So even if you're not in CSBS, there is still at least one advisor for you in this office that can help you with your resume review, your mock interview skills, preparing for the career fair, any of that type of stuff. So I highly recommend you either scan the QR code or take a picture of this slide. Anything, Madison, that you want to add before we go into the Q&A section of the presentation?
No, I think it covers everything. I just kind of reiterating again. Um, as employers, we're there to talk about our agency. And so if you have an interest, or again, if you're walking around, even if it's in, maybe it's not the area you thought you were kind of wanting to work in, kind of learning what's out there. And again, kind of this is just a really great opportunity. Everyone's kind of together, they're recruiting. So yeah, just being able to stop if you are even the least little bit interested in kind of the work or the agency that they do. But yeah.
Awesome. If you have questions for me or Madison or both, please put those questions in the chat and we would love to talk about them. Especially if you want to know like any resume specific stuff from Madison, maybe, or what candidates are most successful in her internships and volunteer opportunities. Um, you could ask about like specific situation. Again, if you're thinking like a year in advance, how you have that conversation with that recruiter, anything like that. For resumes, is one page the standard or is two okay? That's a great question. Clayton, I don't know what major you are, but it kind of depends, at least in my perspective, from like what major you are. Madison, do you usually see like one or two pages for your applicants?
Usually I feel like two.
Yeah.
I think just with kind of the first part, people, their schooling, especially if they volunteer experience and things. If it is 2 pages, I would, which I guess I don't know if this goes against what you guys share, but front back.
Mhm.
Or if it's
Yeah.
not front back, making sure your name is on the second, both
Yeah.
of them, just in case, like if the staple rips off or paper clip. But yeah, front back, so then it's still like one page, even if it has like a back too. So
Yeah. If
we
you're
see
going
both.
to human services type of field and you have the experiences that warrant 2 pages, then great, have 2 pages. If you're an accounting major though, you want to stick to 1 page, or like if you're strictly business, something like that, you want to be 1 page. If you're going to graduate school soon, you can have 2 pages. I think some folks get stuck on that like 1 page because you hear 1 page, 1 page, 1 page, but that's not true for everybody. What's the best way to ask about a job or potential internship, especially for social work? What's the best way to ask about a job and potential internship, especially for social work? So, at this fair, there will be a lot of social work employers who know that there's a great social work program at UNI and who also know that they need a field experience, like a full semester field experience. And so they should be at least a little familiar with the social work program. So if you say, hey, I'm a social work major and I'm looking for an internship placement or an employer to do my internship at my full semester internship, they're going to probably know what you're talking about. So you have that advantage if you are a social work major. If you're not a social work major, they might ask you, are you a part of, will this be like for credit for like your major or not for credit? And you should know that up front. If you're not a social work major, like if you're psychology, you probably don't need to have an internship for credit through your program because it's not built in like it is for social work. So just know, have some information about that in your brain, and know that they might ask you questions about that. But they should be a little familiar. Do you have any advice, Madison? That other advice, other stuff?
No, just kind of within the realm of like job and internship. I know sometimes one question that we kind of get asked to is, um, does your agency tend to like do internships lead to jobs or
Mm,
positions at your agency? So I think that's definitely a fair question if you're kind of interested in sticking with an agency, being able to ask that. Because I know kind of within friends of the family if there's opportunities. As well, or also to kind of it opens up the question for agencies to kind of share about how they bring on their team and stuff. I know specifically friends of the family. Within the last two couple months, we've actually hired two interns that had done internships in the last year. And so some agencies do kind of have that pipeline for interns. So I think it's always great if you're curious and interested in that. You can ask that, I think.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. Totally appropriate. I'm going to add that to my presentation for next year. So thanks for asking that. How do you navigate through the nervousness when speaking with representatives? It can be nerve-wracking. My fear is I mess up when speaking. I totally get you. When I was a student, I was terrified of career fairs, which is why I do this seminar now because I'm an introvert. I don't love putting myself out there. It's scary. I will say these folks, most of them are professional recruiters. And so they talk to students for a living. And I'm sure that if you mess up, they're going to be graceful about it. And they mess up too. And so it's okay. I would have like a bit of a memorized elevator pitch if that helps you feel more prepared. Any way that you're going to help yourself feel more prepared, I think would help. So knowing your outfit ahead of time, having like a folder that you can keep stuff in so that you don't feel as flustered. If the noise bothers you, you might get like hot and it's kind of loud. There are like exits on each side, like what direction is that? North and south sides of the building. And so you can step out real quick and come back in. It's totally appropriate to do so as well. And there's also water fountains too. So take breaks, know yourself and how you show up when you're nervous and what you're going to need. Do you have any
I think
advice,
too.
Madison? Yeah.
Yeah, I just think too, we're all human. We're human too. And at least like you're going to the career fair, it shows effort and stuff. And so if you mess up on a few wording again, we just keep moving, the conversation along. But yeah, I remember as I'm a UNI alum, I did not attend the career fairs like I now as a recruiter, I'm like, oh my gosh, I missed out on great opportunities. So the first step is even going. And so that's great. And have the confidence too. So
Yeah. Yeah. You should be proud of yourself that you're going in general.
yeah, yeah.
What kind of volunteering should I be doing as a public health major to make me stand out? Like, in what exactly? It's a great question. I feel like a lot of students have that question about their specific majors. I would highly recommend that you come in and talk to us about this in our career services office, whether you're public health or a different major, just because this can vary widely depending on what I see on your resume. I might recommend different things and different majors. And routes, career paths look for different skills. So I would look at your resume and think about the skills that you might be missing and do more of a skilled approach than like I have to have an experience at Allen Hospital or I have to have an experience, something, because you want to think about the skills that you're bringing to an employer and not just the names on your resume, essentially. So please come see us. I would love to talk to you about that. What types of things should I not include on my resume? I don't love like you play video games on the weekends or something like that. Don't include, you know, like how you spend your time in that way. You want to include your education, your work experiences, you know, involvements, whether that's community or on campus. But I wouldn't include, you know, things like video games and stuff like that. You want to make sure that you have your correct um, month and year of your graduation date on your resume. Sometimes I see that messed up if you are student teaching and you don't include that semester, or your social work semester or internship semester, you don't include that. That can be confusing for an employer. I've seen employers get confused on like a timeline, like a college timeline. It'll say like August 2023 to May 2027 or something like that. And that might seem obvious to someone who's in the college stratosphere. You know, you are used to a timeline, but that employer might not be used to that. They just want to know when you're going to be done, type of a thing. I wouldn't probably include that. I wouldn't include a personal email that looks goofy. Like my first email was Cupcake Girl 97 or something like that. I have a professional email or your UNI email on your resume. Uh, what else would I not include? Mm, anything that doesn't seem unprofessional, to be totally honest. And if you send, I'm going to put in the chat our email right now. If you send your resume to Career Services, we can let you know, and we'll just say, hey, just consider maybe taking this part off. Doesn't seem as professional as the rest of your experiences or something like that. That's a good question. Any other questions? Those were some great ones. Cool. Okay. Well, Madison, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for coming to our seminar. We hope to see you at the career fair, and let us know if you came to the seminar too, because we would love to meet you in person. Okay.
Yes.